The campaign is on, and Kamala Harris feels they are still surging off an effective DNC, where people saw musicians, politicians, actors, but also some great comedians. That includes D.L. Hughley, who is a comedian, an author, a talk show host, and has been very active, including online, in discussing his view of civil rights, of politics, and of calling out BS. And he spent his time on that stage using it effectively to roast Trump.
Of course, Kamala's getting broad support. They got black men for Kamala, white men for Kamala, Latinos and Asians for Kamala. They even have Republicans for Kamala. Republicans for Kamala. I guess Donald Trump will finally know what it's like when you get left for a younger woman. I don't blame Donald Trump for not wanting to debate Kamala. I've been married to a black woman for 40 years and I ain't won one debate. I'm owing $93,000. Now, of course, Trump is saying that Kamala isn't black. I guarantee you this, Kamala's been black a lot longer than Trump's been a Republican.
Bars. D.L. Hughley joins us now, host of the D.L. Hughley Show and longtime comedian. How you doing?
I'm excellent. How you doing, baby boy? You good?
I'm great. We've talked about politics before. I looked up during the convention, saw you taking your big star turn. A lot of people watch, over 20 million a night, not counting the internet. So I don't know if that was your biggest crowd, but it's one of them. Why was it important for you to do? What were you trying to convey?
Well, I think ultimately I was trying to convey the message that, you know, like a lot of people, I was had misrepresented VP Harris's record. And I had this conversation with her, and I actually had it on my radio program. But when you did it, and I said then, as I believe now, that when you have besmirched somebody's record or their character, you have an obligation to make your apology as loud as your accusation. And there didn't seem to be a bigger stage or a better opportunity to do it in front of the whole damn world. So.
That's really fascinating because so many people run from those type of moments, especially in public life, whether it's comedy or politics. So we knew, of course, about that history. I want to show some of that part because you said basically you'd learned and changed, that you were wrong based on some of the information you'd initially had. Of course, you, like many other people, DL, have criticized the idea that a prosecutor should then go to be the Democratic representative.
Sure.
We have some of this put together. Take a look.
But Kamala went, and I'm very proud. And I'm happy she showed up in black mode, not in cop mode, because, I mean, she was a district attorney, and that could have been a sting operation. But seriously, there is a good reason to have a black vice president. If you're not going to do anything about police reform, at least you can have somebody that goes to those funerals.
Wow. And here's how you put it. I'm going to show at the DNC.
If you told me the 15-year-old me would be on stage supporting a prosecutor and a teacher, there is no way that I would have believed you. Imagine attacking someone's character without a single Google search. So I did what I should have done in the first place. I learned that she had done for us exactly what she promised to. I believe that your apology should be as loud as your accusation, and I'm here apologizing in front of the whole damn world.
What have you heard since then? And there's this term people throw around in politics, permission structure, that your leadership creates a structure for other people to go, oh, maybe I was too quick to judge.
Well, here's the thing. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I watched that system just spit out, chew up and spit out a lot of men I've known, a lot of young men I've known. And so an agent of that system would have been met with, skepticism, to say the least. But that didn't relieve me of the onus to make sure that because, a progressive politician, I'm 60 years old. I would have never heard an occasion to use the phrase progressive prosecutor. It didn't exist before. And I think it wasn't in our lexicon. And until she and other people, of late put it there. And so I can say that the onus was on me to have to never, assail somebody's character. But it's an anomaly. It's a phenomenon no one's ever seen before. So some people are saying she's too tough on crime. Some people say she wasn't enough. But I basically found her to be a bright, erudite, humane woman who I'm more than know is capable of leading not only this country but the world. And I'm proud to do whatever I can to make sure that happens.
There's been a lot of discussion about how Donald Trump has peeled back, at least in the polling, groups that he'd struggled with earlier. And it's too early to know with Harris replacing Biden. Well, those of us who are into it, we go, oh, it's on. But it's only been a couple weeks, and people are busy with their summers and their lives, as you know.
Right.
Do you think that Kamala Harris can help better appeal to black American males whose vote shouldn't be taken for granted or automatic for any party anyway?
No, well, I think nobody's vote should, but I do think that she is opening people's minds up to having a conversation. I think that people are now at least, willing to have a look. I think that it's not, I tell you what, I'd rather be us in these last 4 weeks than the other side. And I think if you look at not only here's the thing she's done. She's surging in the polling. She's surging in money. She's the media. The media wants to speak to her more so than anybody else. She's finding a way to beat Trump at his own game, and she's making him irrelevant. She's erasing him. She's found a way to erase that devil orange saying that we can't get rid of him. And I think it's driving them crazy. It isn't that Trump is having a hard time dealing with her. It's that she knows exactly how to deal with him. And I think her years of experience, not just from a prosecutorial standpoint, just to ascend to a certain level and be a black woman or a woman of color or anything other, you had to run a gauntlet. And men like that have always been on the periphery of that gauntlet. So I think she's perfectly suited to deal with. I'm serious. I don't know what he gets from debating her. I think everything he does, she's trained to suss out. And so it's like a bloodhound smelling blood. So I don't know that that'll be something that he, that he enjoys, but I think it's something the country needs to see. And I think that I'm excited about the prospect of it.
Yeah. Last question, DL. We follow that convention closely. We see each person come out. We see the reactions.
Right.
We are curious. How much did the Harris campaign, the DNC organizers, know about exactly what you were going to say, or when did they know? Because it was interesting what you said. So how did that work?
Well, like anything else, you're vetted. I think we were taking jokes out, primarily the gist of what I was saying. They were aware of, but there were a lot of jokes that they, felt wouldn't have been appropriate, or there were some, vetting of the jokes. But other than that,
all right, tell me one before I let you go.
I'm not doing that.
What's one joke that was too hot?
No. You know what? To me, I mean, because obviously it was reflective of her entree into it was the first time many people in the nation had seen her, and so I think she left in high spirits and high regard. And I don't want to do anything. I've already done enough. Listen, I damaged the prospects of 2019. I'm not about to do it again.
All right, respect. You know what it reminds me of? DL, I don't know if you know the famous Ali picture at the end of the fight with the last fist cocked but never sent.
He never threw it. Yeah, never hit forward with that last.
That's you with whatever these now unreleased jokes are.
Man, it was funny because I played the United Center. Me and Cedric Montana had played the United Center more than any other comics in history. We just got an award so it felt like that to me. But I had to be I think that once you have done something and you are trying to make it right, you're more cautious than you would be. But I really do think for the first time in a long time, people from across all political stripes are really excited about the prospect. I think that more than anything, the prospect that people could be without this man that has been in our life for 10 years through different iterations, whether it's the racist stuff or his handling of COVID, just to be without the specter of him hanging over. It's changed every aspect of our life, from the way people absorb politics to voting to journalism to everything. I think the prospect of having him out of our lives is very seductive. It's very seductive.
Yeah,
I think
respect.
the possibility that doesn't exist anymore. So
respect.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah. DL Hughley, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Always good to hear from you, man.